Good evening, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Thursday, January 1st, 2015, around 5:42 p.m. in Bellerica, Massachusetts. It was a cold day today. Highs reached about freezing, and that's about it on that. Some news to report. The Cleveland Cavaliers announced that their star player LeBron James is going to be out at least 2 weeks with knee and back problems. And in the NHL Winter Classic at Washington Nationals Park in Washington, D.C., the Washington Capitals beat the Chicago Blackhawks by the score of 3-2. That's about it on that. My next subject is about the short-lived television comedy drama, well, dramedy, because it was real popular back in that day. And the dramedy was about the Bradys, which aired on CBS for exactly 1 month, February 9th, 1990 through March 9th, 1990, and the Bradys were about the updated version of the Brady Bunch, and this was the fourth version of the Brady Bunch that aired on television. The most popular one was the Brady Bunch that lasted on ABC from 1969 through 1974, which then went on to syndication, and there was a lot of attempts to revive the Brady Bunch, first on a Brady Bunch variety hour, which lasted for about 8 weeks in 1976 and 1977 on ABC. And then in 1981, there was a comedy called The Brady Brides, which was a sitcom that lasted 10 weeks. And then the first 4 episodes of The Brady Brides were edited into a movie called The Brady Girls Get Married, which aired in October of 1981 on NBC. And then in December of 1988, CBS aired the television Christmas movie, A Very Brady Christmas, which became the second highest rated movie in the 1988-1989 season, when CBS ran A Very Brady Christmas again. In December of 1989, it was ranked in the top 10 of that week, which was pretty amazing. CBS then ordered 2 more Brady movies, which one was going to be aired during February. It was called the Brady 500, where Bobby Brady's pursuing his dream to become a NASCAR driver, and there was going to be one going to air in November called Brady for Office, which Mike Brady was going to run for city council and win. And CBS decided that these things were popular. They wanted a series, and the producer of the Brady Bunch put this into a series, and all of the original cast of the Brady Bunch appeared on the Bradys except Maureen McCormick, who played Marcia. She did not participate in the Brady series, and the role of Marcia Brady was recast, and Leah Ayres played Marcia Brady. Leah Ayres was an actress in the 80s. She starred in a couple of TV series. She didn't have a starring role. And the Bradys now, like Mike and Carol, live by themselves. Mike's still an architect, and Carol's no longer a housewife, as she's now a real estate agent. Alice moves out of the house. She's no longer the Brady's housekeeper. She moves out of the house, marries Sam, and the butcher. They're still together. Sam the butcher does not appear in the Bradys, though. And the Brady kids, Greg is now a doctor. He delivers babies for a living. His wife Nora is part of his nursing staff, but Greg decides to go into orthopedics after Bobby gets into an accident during his race car drive, and they have Greg and Nora have a son named Kevin. Kevin's played by Jonathan Taylor Thomas in the Bradys. Marcia is married to Wally, and they have 2 children, Mickey and Jessica, but Wally's losing jobs left and right, getting fired or laid off. The whole family, Marcia, Wally, Jessica, and Mickey, have to move in with Mike and Carol just to make ends meet because they have no money in the bank. And Wally continues to get fired from jobs. Marcia battles some alcoholism but recovers, and Marcia starts a catering business to support the family. Peter quits his job because Valerie, his fiance, was his boss, and they broke up, and he left the company and he started a new company, an environmental company. Jan is still married to Philip. Jan's an architect. Philip's a college professor. Jan and Philip try to have a baby, but they are unable to conceive, so they adopt a Korean girl named Patty. And Bobby Brady pursues his dream as a NASCAR race car driver, but he gets into an accident that temporarily leaves him a paraplegic, but he reunites with his college sweetheart, Tracy, who's played by former MTV VJ Martha Quinn, and they get married. And Cindy's now a morning radio DJ host / shock jock, and she develops a relationship with her boss, Gary, who has not been in a relationship since his wife was killed by a drunk driver, and Gary tells his two teenage children, that he's in a relationship with Cindy, and they disapprove, saying that, why are you doing this? Because of their mother who passed away. And the storylines of the Bradys were like kind of hard, serious storylines and dramas and stuff, especially with like the Brady 500, where Bobby is a paraplegic and they have a hard time with recovery and stuff, and also with him like trying to finally find love with Tracy, and they get married during that episode at the ending. Plus, also, in addition, Marcia and Wally and Mickey and Jessica moving back with Mike and Carol. And another episode was when they were going, a new freeway was going to be constructed, and the off ramp was going to cut into the Brady's house. Mike was totally against it, and he was rallying the people. There were people who wanted Mike to run for city council. He wasn't interested because he wasn't a politician. He was an architect, but there was so much support that he was running for it, and the Bradys moved their house to a different location. They kept the house because they were going to knock down the house. Mike eventually wins the city council, and he becomes a city councilman. And there was another episode I remember where they had Peter and Greg arguing, getting into arguments and stuff like that, but Peter almost chokes himself eating something, and Greg saves his life and stuff like that. Most of these storylines of the Bradys dealt with a lot of issues and dramas, but there was some comedy moments. They still used the laugh track for this, and I thought the Bradys series was kind of too much dramedy and stuff like that, and it was, people didn't really like the Brady Bunch turning into a drama and stuff like that. They remember the Brady Bunch as a funny show. They didn't want to see the Bradys who are old as a kid, especially in dramatic roles and stuff like that. The first episode of the Bradys was a 2-hour one. The first hour it got creamed in the time slot by ABC's what they were airing at that time, Full House and Family Matters. But at the second hour, they won its time slot, and a lot of producers of the Bradys really wanted CBS to move the Bradys from 8 o'clock, which it was airing, to 9 or 10. But around that time, CBS was airing Knots Landing and Dallas back to back, and they did not want to sacrifice Knots Landing or Dallas to go to face off against Full House and family members on ABC, because they would have probably got creamed. And like the Bradys continued to nosedive in its ratings of 4 episodes, and was put on hiatus on March 9th, 1990, but it was cancelled. And to tell you the truth, this was kind of very sad to see the Brady Bunch. This happened to the Brady Bunch. The Bradys kind of had a potential to be a decent series, but you know, a lot of people just didn't buy the Bradys as like serious drama actors and actresses and stuff like that. I watched this series when it was on the air. It was decent. I didn't think it was going to be anything big, and this is around the time when dramedies were real big on television stuff, but I didn't think the people wanted to buy the Bradys as a dramedy and stuff like that, and it just quickly got cancelled. And this was the last time they ever had like all the actors and actresses who were the Brady Bunch characters do the Brady Bunch, because in May of 1992, Robert Reed, who played Mike Brady, passed away, and they never did anything after that. But I was reading in one of the Brady Bunch books several years ago that there was one plot line that they were going to use, one storyline they were going to use for an episode of the Bradys, that when Mike wants for city council, they were going to see, because they were going to have they had a trauma center, and they were going to find out with back roads if the city needed more back roads with Mike in the helicopter. And they said they were going to have plans for the helicopter to go down and Mike get killed, and all 6 of the children were going to cheer up Carol to the death of Mike Brady. But I heard something that CBS rejected that idea, because I heard, you know, the producers, especially Sherwood Shotzi, had problems with Mike Brady. I mean, Robert Reed, ever since like the Brady Bunch, the last season of the Brady Bunch, they had disagreements and stuff like that, and like Sherwood Schultz was going to kill the character of Mike Brady off during the Bradys, but luckily CBS was against it completely, which I didn't blame for it. Well, that's about it on that. I'll be back on my 3rd and final video blog of the night for CBS Sports announcer and Tennis Channel announcer Bill Manatee. See you later, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. Bye now.